Hello and welcome. Today I want to be talking about confidence. Increasing confidence as a highly sensitive, creative, intuitive woman, maybe like yourself, and how this is less what other people tell you about projecting an image of confidence outward, but more getting confidence within that will then later express itself outwardly. I want to start by saying that when I was still working as a graphic designer, there was my mentor, my superior, that when they came to me with this stack of zero copied books about confidence, and there was like a program, self-study program to become confident, I'm like, what the hell are you thinking? I'm a confident person. Why do you give me all these books, right? And then I realized, well, he was not seeing me as a confident person. He saw me as someone who struggled with confidence. And then that made me think that there's something in it. I didn't pay attention to these books. I just left them aside. But in the hindsight, I realized that I wasn't as confident as I was thinking. So even if you might be thinking about yourself that you are confident, this episode, this video might be still for you, because what we express outwardly actually is much more linked to how we relate to ourselves, how we are deeply inside. So if you are not confident within yourself, it is unlikely to try any tactics how to project a certain image. The most important thing is to gain the needed confidence from inwards. And this is what this video is all about. Basically, there is an outer impression that we give off to people and an image that we have of ourselves. Now, I believe that virtually everything that people can feel from our presence on the outside has some roots to how we relate to ourselves internally. And over time, I was able to gain so much more confidence through things that were not focusing on becoming confident. They were actually focusing on becoming self-loving, to validate myself, to follow my intuition, to follow my gut, to grow my power, my emotional intelligence, to feel worthy of myself, my gifts, despite being very different than other people. I've always felt like I did not belong, and well, this is due to different factors. One of them is very, very high sensitivity, and other is being so-called gifted. If you don't know what means gifted, then yeah, it doesn't mean smart. It means something else. Also, it means probably having ADHD and some other neurodivergence. So my way of perceiving the world, processing the world, and expressing myself in this world was so that there was a constant clash with other people understanding what I was saying, and it was as if I was speaking a different language than all the people. And even though I learned 7 languages at some point, it was still not enough. I was still not getting through to people, right? So what I'm trying to say, despite all these things that made me feel not accepted, misunderstood, and not having the validation that would normally help us feel confident, that would help a person feel like, yeah, people get me and reflect, mirror that to me, which is part of growing that healthy, confident self. Despite of this, I was able to validate myself over the last years so much that at this point, I've lost any interest in being understood by people, because the confidence that you have at this point is so that you know that what you are is enough, that you know that what you know is enough, that you know that what you do is enough. And I don't mean it as an excuse to be lazy, to do nothing, to offend people and just, blame them for misunderstanding me and all that stuff. And I know you wouldn't do that because you're a highly sensitive person. So we have that inborn empathy that puts the filter on the confidence that some of you might fear actually embodying, because there is a level of fear that I've noticed in my clients and in so many people that I talk with, especially women, that while claiming that power, while validating yourself and literally being proud of who you are, would make you arrogant, would make you, not nice, make you less accepted, make you abandoned by people. And frankly, I have to say that if you are not at this point yet, you might get to the point that you stop caring about being accepted altogether due to your differences. And this is healthy. This may come with a certain grieving period, but it is worth its while, because real connection can only come from detachment of having to be connected with people, with needing to be needing to be understood or accepted. So I know I'm digressing, but I think these levels of understanding are helpful in knowing that confidence is something that is just yours, that is like a really strong spine that helps you face the world because you know you can handle it. So let me get through some questions that might help you to distinct if you are actually confident. And you can answer it for yourself, you can answer in the comments or just let me know. But I'm curious and I will ask some questions and you can just, reflect. So, are you detached from other people's opinions about you? Can you do something that is, outlandish and you're not worried about how you're going to be perceived by your family, by your peers, by your, people at your workplace? Or are you very much concerned about being liked? Do you tend to use all kind of adaptive survival mechanisms such as pleasing or, giving favors to everyone? The weak boundaries people may have when they are not confident. And another question could be for you to reflect on: are you willing to disappoint people and fail their expectations? Again, that's kind of a different layer of kind of what we are opening up and packaging in this video. Because when you reflect on these, they can actually mirror to you blind spots of how you were perceiving yourself. Because if you might be thinking at times, I'm so confident, but then you answered these questions, I don't dare to say no, I don't follow my dreams, I don't speak my truth and all kinds of things, then, what is it then, right? And that takes me to explaining what could you do if you find yourself actually reflecting on these things that, I think I've got a bit to catch up on this. Okay, so what are these stages that you might want to go through, even if it doesn't, happen overnight, that you might go through to get you closer to finding that solid core and confidence. First of all, I always have a lot to say about self-validation. So how does self-validation look like? I explain a lot about validation in my other episode or my video that I might just link here. But in short, what you might want to do is simply start by validating your feelings. We detach from ourselves and start judging ourselves, therefore weaken our sense of confidence because we were invalidated as kids. And this is a natural process for every person every person full stop, but especially for marginalized group, for everything that is different than typical. So being a woman is actually marginalized because we were born in the men's world. Secondly, being highly sensitive is marginalized. You are being made wrong because you are different. So again, that puts you in a kind of lost position in some ways because people don't have tolerance for what's different. They don't have much tolerance because they claim this is wrong. If it's not their way, then it must be wrong. So all these kind of things invalidate us early in childhood. So all kinds of things that you are different, where the points where people were splitting from you and you were splitting from yourself, meaning you were becoming weaker over time. I'm not gonna get into the depth of this. It's just when we start judging ourselves and invalidating ourselves because we internalize their voices and their judgments, their assumptions. Now, start validating your emotions, start validating how you feel, and saying to yourself, even if that's in your journal every single day, you go through how you feel or you say it out loud and you simply acknowledge this is how you feel. How it's gonna help me become confident? Well, it will. Because when you do something over time, when you see yourself in the way that people don't see you, you're giving yourself the fortitude and the sense of being acknowledged that builds into the confidence that people naturally develop when they are more validated, when they are being seen, when they are acknowledged as kids, right? So you need to do that over time to actually start seeing any results. Now, another thing what you can validate is your ideas, no matter how quirky they are, no matter how differently you are seeing reality, no matter what kind of a vision you have of the world, or how idealistic you are, or maybe the dreams that are yours. Validate them. Don't discourage yourself. Don't fall into the trap of using these oppressive, judgmental voices that you've internalized from all these people. I'm planning to record an entire episode about the internalized oppression that we, embody, unfortunately. But for now, validate yourself, your ideas, your dreams, your feelings, what is important to you, what are your values, what are your visions, and all these kind of things, your preferences. Oh my God, you need to validate all of this as your birthright. And you can also validate the fact that you're changing your mind all the time. Maybe you have ADHD and you can't make up your mind. Maybe you are, scattered in some ways. Validate it. You have no need to be something or someone that you're not. The more you acknowledge yourself, the more you validate yourself, the more confident you will become. Now, another thing is doing the things for your highest good. So now that you validate what is right for you, maybe you have an idea for business, maybe you run your business and all these kind of things. Well, a part of self-loving and kind of self-appreciating way of expressing it is to take action on this. That kind of builds on this self-validation. Not only we say to ourselves it's okay to have these preferences, but we also take actions in real life. We organize our life to match our preferences, which is so different from what you might be used to doing, which is you adapting to everyone else, right? You might be used to molding yourself and folding yourself into a pretzel, not to offend anyone, not to make anyone uncomfortable, right? So taking action on these is actually building your evidence that you are appreciating yourself, that you are investing this energy, these resources into yourself. This builds over time subconsciously into recognizing, well, someone cares about me, right? Maybe you're taking some risks. Maybe you're taking some actions that people are not liking, and then you stand up for yourself and you say, well, this is how I like it, so deal with it, right? And all these kind of things are building to create a certain image in the back of your mind that you are that person that shows up for yourself. And this also comes to making promises for yourself that you might want to keep. Again, don't hate yourself if you don't keep them, because we are just people. And if you have some sort of neurodivergence, if you maybe are easily overwhelmed, if you are scattered, or if you shut down, if you have trouble processing your emotions, then, well, if you are showing up for yourself, sometimes you might not, or most of the times you might just do the 1% of what you wanted. Again, don't beat yourself up. This is the action you can take to show yourself that you care for yourself, not just doing the amazing habit or doing some actions for work. The most important thing you can do to show yourself that you care. Never mind all these other actions that are important, yes. But if you do just 1% or one day you don't do them, show yourself compassion, and there you go. You've already done something for yourself, right? Sometimes we have those stages, right, as well, that we need to take a step back, that we need to rest. And again, this is your right. We all collectively had the last 3 years of collective trauma, let's put it this way. Women are facing so much backlash from the growth that started happening amongst so many, like there's masses and masses of women growing their consciousness, getting out of power dynamics, noticing their self-worth, fighting for themselves, you know, improving their life and doing all kinds of things. So one thing we don't have to do is to put all the pressure and hate and self-loathing on ourselves into not fulfilling some, you know, ideal expectations that we have for ourselves. So this is a really important caveat I just really wanted to throw in here. And I don't want to go into a lot of things, because these two things, as validation and following up with action, are good enough for you to really start growing your confidence, because they can fit in so many things that you can do every single day, right? So you can just take a notebook and write all kinds of things, tiny steps, how you can start making your life match your preferences, making it match how you like things to be done. Because very likely when you were younger, or maybe even until very recently, you were told how things are supposed to be done, right? So maybe now is the time when you say how you want things to be. Of course, if you have a partner, if you have family, go and discuss things, but don't be shy. Don't take a step back from your needs and your preferences just not to offend anyone. Because if that's the case, if people get offended by you trying to honor your needs and preferences, then, well, I don't want to say it, but maybe these are not the right relationships for you. And this is also a process of actually sieving through the relationships we have. And part of the self-validation and growing inner confidence is saying no completely and utterly to some relationships and recognizing that these people, no matter how I put it, they're not going to respect my boundaries. These people, no matter how much I want to stand by my truth, won't hear what I have to say. And all these kind of nuances that come into recognizing that some people are just not the right fit for you. I know many highly sensitive people may feel lonely with that, realization. But as you invest more into yourself, the more the empty spaces that come from these losses, letting people go, you fill them up with yourself. And over time, you start seeing, well, I'm having the best time when I'm on my own. And actually, when people say some things around me, it's like it's just bouncing off of me because I have this secret inside of me that I know my worth. I'm perfectly all right with me just honoring my opinions, having these people disagree with me, and be actually quite happy about this, because at this point you've internalized that person who always validates you. I'm not saying you can't discern, you can't grow, because, well, you will still be coming across things that you say, well, that wasn't for my best good. What I did can actually get better next time. Not in the way that you're beating yourself up, but genuinely as kind of a growth, strategy for life. Now, I hope it wasn't too windy of a way of saying what I had to say, but I hope you get what I mean. First of all, you have to have compassion and respect for yourself, and everything will fall into place. You do not have to project an image of being confident. It's all about you being confident for yourself, because then people start reading you in a way that that person is too self-secured for me to say anything stupid about her, right? Because this is the most important thing, that you are solid for yourself, and well, the impressions will radiate outwards, or they won't, but that's all you need to be happy. You don't need people to respect you for who you're not, just for who you are.